when I am taking care of myself and I care about myself and I'm making decisions that are good for me, it's like, okay, well, I am a drummer and I want to be as good as I possibly can.
Might not be famous yet, but I'm gonna put you in a song that I write. Then she said, I like your confidence, but you're not the 1907, the 1975. I've been feeling
Welcome, everybody, to Nashville Drummers Podcast, episode 58.
I can't believe we're almost at 60 episodes.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah, appreciate everyone sticking by us. We're having a blast doing these. This week, we're stoked to welcome Christian Delzoppo to the podcast. Christian is well known as the drummer for indie pop artist Knox. And this is a really wide-ranging interview with Christian. We, of course, get into how he got the gig with Knox, his journey to Nashville, and I really appreciated him opening up about some really tough points in his life.
Yeah, he talked to us a bit about staying motivated when you start to feel not motivated. He's talked about the correlation between physical and mental health, and we also covered why you should probably be stopping by a Red Door every once in a while to do a little bit of networking, because life is about relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah, super fun episode with Christian. Quick plug, October 23rd, 6 p.m. at Sonny's. We're doing our second drummer hang with none other than Thomas Finch of FDS Drum Services. Definitely come on by if you're free. We'd love to see you and hang. Also, first 10 attendees will receive their first drink on us.
Bonus points if you can wear a costume that scares me and makes me want to play the drums at the same time.
You could win a free Ghostly Groove souvenir drum head from Thomas. So definitely come out again. That's October 23rd, 6 p.m. at Sonny's in Germantown. Hope to see you there.
We hope you enjoy this episode of Nashville Drummers Podcast. Love you very much.
75. In no life, that's quite the compliment, but I'm not really looking for somebody tonight. I said, girl, I might not be famous yet, but I'm gonna put you in a song that I write. Then she said, I like your confidence, but you're not the 1907, the 1970.
Welcome.
Hey, happy to be here.
I like
Yeah.
your pink iPhone case there.
It definitely, well, it matches my outfit now because I got pink on the back of the shirt.
yeah, I was
So
gonna say,
yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't see the pink.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Gaga, oh,
Yeah,
sick.
so I'll have it in the back pockets poking out, kind of like completes the look.
Yeah.
So really, do you guys watch football at all?
Yeah, about
So-
to tonight after
Yeah,
this.
dude, I know I'm excited about
Yeah.
that. I got Lamar Jackson on my fantasy team, so I'm hoping that the Ravens can pull through. But Caleb Williams from USC last year had a pink phone case, and people were like, online, they were like, "Wow, is he masculine enough to play football?" They're like, "Oh, he's got a pink phone case and he paints his fingernails." They're like, "Oh, that's crazy. Like, is he going to be able to lead a team in the
Right.
NFL?" And then he went number one overall.
Even though he's like
Smashed.
tall
yeah.
and ripped and
Yeah.
an athlete.
So I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, that's fire, pink phone case." Like, I've never seen that, so I was like, "I'm gonna get the pinkest phone case I can find."
Dude, let's go.
Yeah, and I was
That
like,
is
"All right."
pretty pink.
Yeah.
There's no question that's pink.
I don't think that they make a pinker pink than that for sure. But
They might
you,
not.
Yeah, you could see this like at nighttime, like in the dark. I like look over. I'm like, oh,
That's
it's
smart,
almost
yeah.
like glow in the dark.
Well, that's the thing. You're not going to lose it, and no one's going to mistake their phone for yours.
No,
That's
no,
sick.
they
That-
won't.
And also, I had a buddy back in California. Shout out Josh Huckabee. I love you. He was like the strongest dude in our gym, and he would work out with giant, bright pink earphones.
Yeah.
Over his ears, and he would be yelling, and he has no volume control and zero filter.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's alpha.
It was
That's
fantastic.
as alpha as it gets right
Yeah, I
there.
was
I
like,
love
this
it.
guy, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Also, I apologize. I'm like nonstop. I've got so much old man hair coming out of my nostrils. I'm just like,
It's always something with you.
No problem.
can't be stopped.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah, I need to get. I've got one of those trimmers, but
Yeah.
I can't find the charger for it. So
That's tough.
it's getting a little long,
Yeah,
boys. A
yeah.
little long. You know
I
what I mean?
used the trimmer today.
Did you?
Actually, yeah.
Good
Yeah, I
man.
did.
Yeah, look good. Yeah, nice and clean.
Thank you. Yeah, I groomed up a little bit. I
Just
tightened
for
up.
us?
No
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah, yeah.
That's right, baby.
Well, because I didn't know, like, I had heard before, the podcast. I didn't realize it was like this is a serious situation.
This is pretty
This
legit.
is the real
Hey,
deal.
This is the
serious.
Nashville
Yeah.
Drummers
Serious.
podcast.
So I pulled up YouTube. I'm like, this is like 8K,
I saw
man.
that subscribe.
Yeah,
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 8K,
let's go.
yeah.
Let's go.
4K with
Yeah,
X.
yeah. It's and a certain number of Ks were involved. Well, more
Yeah.
that 4 at least. I will
Yeah.
say that 4 at least Ks were involved.
so funny.
Probably 8, maybe 8.
I know.
I'm saying
I don't know
8.
how many
It was
Ks
8.
it was, but it was more than 3. If you know what I mean.
Guaranteed. I can guarantee that. Yep. Well, I'm saying it's 8. It's 8K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, yeah,
Enjoy
we're going
this.
to upgrade the studio, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
In about a week. We're going to
Well,
be doing
the video quality is 4K, but the interview quality is 8K.
Yeah,
There we go.
It's right here. It's right here. It's 8K.
It's 8K of
Yeah.
heart.
And we're
Yeah.
never using that as a slogan because that's pretty dumb.
No, it's
But
incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
That's,
I love it.
Which is, I'm going to have shirts made.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So, first podcast, huh?
Yes.
And we're meeting you for the first time, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's super
Yeah,
cool.
man.
I'm happy to be here, and never done anything quite like this. So
Yeah.
I'm new. I'm new to
Give the
scene.
people a just a quick intro to who you are, and then we'll kind of dive in.
Yeah, I'm Christian Delzoppo is my name.
Delzoppo.
I've been playing drums for 22 years. Moved to Nashville 3 years ago. That is like the most important parts probably.
Where'd you move from?
I lived in Indiana.
Okay.
It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. My family was there for about 10 years. And then I went to school at IU in Bloomington. So I was in Indiana for, from like 2010 until 2021.
Cool.
So, and then, I moved down here 3 years ago. And then, here I am. Those are the highlights. Those are the drum aspects for sure.
And so you're on tour with Knox, drummer
Yes.
for Knox.
Yeah.
And some other bands as well.
Yeah,
Which we'll get into.
It's right now I'm pretty much playing mostly just with Knox. We've been doing enough. It's been keeping me busy, and it's so much fun to play those shows. But yeah, when I first moved down here, I was playing with anybody I possibly could. And then last year I was playing with a couple bands. The other like main artist I played with was called Fangs. And he was just a super cool dude, great guy. And it was just another like fun kind of pop rock, We were just me and him. But that was mostly my main thing until he moved to LA and he started taking graphic design a little bit more seriously, and he's gone crazy with that. He's completely popped off, so to speak. And that was right around the time that I started playing with Knox. So it just kind of worked out that I made a slight like transition over to the Knox camp.
Yeah.
But it's been super sick. It's been great. It's kept me pretty busy with drumming. So that's
That's
it's
been cool seeing his trajectory this year alone.
Yeah,
When
seriously.
you guys just came off of Lala, right?
Yeah,
Chicago.
that was unbelievable.
How was that? That looked incredible.
It was a wild experience. I don't even know how to even describe it because it was like emotions I almost hadn't even ever felt.
First time playing?
Yeah,
there?
first time
Yeah.
playing. I've been there 2-3 times. And definitely being in Indiana, Lollapalooza was like the closest big festival or like anything in Chicago, really. I mean, I went to Riot Fest a couple times too and Pitchfork, but Lollapalooza was like the festival for sure.
Yeah.
So I'd been a few times, and when I was like 18 or so, like from like 18 to 21, I was like, I would tweet every couple weeks. I'm like, I'm going to play Lolla someday, And so it was crazy to be like 10 years later, there I was, and like it happened.
Yeah,
and
it's a surreal moment.
It was. And we were on like the main stage. We were on the Bud Light stage. We warmed it up for Vince Staples, which was crazy. But it was fun. It was surreal. I'd been there a bunch. A lot of my like music idols I saw playing Lollapalooza like over the last 10 years or so. So that was probably the most important show I've ever played. It was just
Hell yeah.
It was crazy.
Would you say that was also the biggest crowd you guys have played with?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was. We played Hangout Fest earlier in the year, and that was a pretty big crowd too. But that was right before Chapel Roan blew up, and we were 30 minutes before her set. Like our set ended 30 minutes before her set, so we kind of lucked out too. By like, so many people were trying to see her.
for her,
Yeah. So we kind of
Yeah,
lucked
yeah.
out that like, not that we lucked out. Like I'm sure there would have been people there either way, but it was
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah. That gave it a little boost too.
that's fortuitous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it a record? I mean, for the past like 2 weeks after my social media feeds, because I'm a fan of her. So
Yeah.
like I watch one video from Lala, and then my whole feed is just insane.
It
like
is.
the crowd.
It is unbelievable the trajectory that she has had for sure. I remember when her record came out last like August or September. I love pop music. So I was like, this is the best. I love this, you know, this is great. And I like showed a couple friends and I was kind of listening to it pretty much since then. And I'd heard Naked in Manhattan. I heard it like, I think it came out like 2022. I heard it like not too long after it came out. And I was like, this is like pop music like I want to hear. Like it's so fun. It's good. It's
I
like,
agree.
Yeah.
It's actually good music.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah,
It's got some 80s influence.
Really impressed me.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And so I've loved her since I heard that song. And it was crazy to see like, she had like 1.8 million monthly listeners on Spotify, like a month or so before Hangout. And then she did the Coachella set and it just was like, I mean, it was over from there. Like, she's probably at like 40 million. I don't even know what she's at now. She's probably at like, I don't even know. But she's in the Sabrina Carpenter, like
Tate McRae.
She's in that stratosphere for sure. So
For sure.
that's a crazy year.
Well, of course, it's, you know, and we'll talk about this with Knox and like the live component of, she's got good music, but it's the way she performs and the costumes and getting the band involved. I mean, she puts on a freaking show.
Absolutely, yeah.
I haven't seen her, but.
And she was ready for it too. Like, I mean, she's been doing that for years. And so the moment that the eyes were on her, it was like, oh, dude, this is great.
This is a whole
because,
package,
you know, she's been doing it for so long. It's like, she's got it down to a science and like, she's comfortable on stage and the whole show is great. Yeah, it's a great show. And that's why like that Coachella, the clip of Good Luck Babe, I think is what kind of was going viral. And it was just like, I haven't seen anything like this. Like it's, especially like in the last 10 years, you know, like pop used to be really, really weird, almost like intentionally like too weird a little bit. Yeah. But it just feels like very organic and like it doesn't feel forced. And it's like, they're doing something special for sure.
Just good.
Yeah.
So back to your set. Do you get nerves, or did you get nerves coming up on stage, or like going into Lala? Honestly,
so that set was it was like the perfect set of circumstances for us because it was at the end of a month-long tour. We like came off that tour and went right to Chicago. So by that point, it was kind of like, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know it's going to work. I know how it's going to sound. Like, it was not necessarily nervous, but just very like excited. I was definitely like more excited for that show than I had been. Like I'm excited to play. Like I like playing, but it was like a very special moment for sure. Not necessarily nervous, but there was definitely more like kind of like the butterflies.
For sure.
Yeah. And you know, you're like looking out and like the Chicago skyline is right there, and it's just like, that's a lot going on.
City of Chicago is just
like, this is a beautiful
right
scenery.
there.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, and you're in Grant Park. Grant Park is beautiful.
Somebody should write a song about this town.
I think they should. And if you need me to, I will. Yeah. But it was surreal. Yeah. Not necessarily nervous, but because we had done it so many times.
Yeah, not like you weren't prepared, just excited to get up and do the thing that you've already been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just another show. But just at a heightened level.
Yeah. And it definitely, cool. I mean, it definitely felt surreal. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Definitely the best experience of my professional life.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, man. Well, so how did that gig come together for you?
So I met Knox when I moved down here in 2021. I think he was one of the first people I met in Nashville, honestly. If he wasn't one of the first, he was definitely like, I met him within like 2 or 3 months of moving down. And I met a bunch of people that he knew and that he worked with and that he was writing with. But we met at Red Door in Midtown because
Shout out to Red Door.
Classic. I know. I mean, I haven't been there in a few years, but I was there quite a bit that first year I was here. But we both ended up at the bar at the same time, and he just was like, "It's a killer mustache you got, man." I was like, "Bro, thanks, man. I appreciate that." I'm like, "Do you like whiskey by any chance?" And he's like, "As it turns out, I do like whiskey a little bit." And I was like, "All right, well, perfect, because I'm about to order a whiskey shot. I'll order 2." And then I did, and then we took the shot. And then I think like later that night, I bumped into him again, and he was with somebody that I had met like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we kind of just started talking, and we just became friends. I would see him like out, at shows or like at bars or wherever, Mickey's. I don't know, whoever knows what I was doing back then. But we'd bump into each other a bunch. And then he saw me play a couple times with Fangs. And I remember in July of 2022, I think Fangs had like an album release show at Exit In. And Knox was there. And that was the first time he saw me play. And he was just like, dude, that was great. You know, you ripped it. And I was like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And this was like before he'd even started putting out his own music. But he had sent me something that year or like shortly after that too. And I was like, yeah, dude, definitely let me know.
Yeah.
Because it was fun. It was I Don't Want to Know is what he sent me, which is one of his songs on his first EP. And I was just like, this is maybe the most fun song I've ever heard in my life. And I would love to play it. So I texted him and I was like,
Please let me know.
If you need anything, dude, just let me know. Like, no big deal. Just I'll be available. Yeah. I'll make myself available. So, and then it just turned out he was like, yo, we're playing these shows. And he asked me to play this, it was like a showcase thing at Basement East. And I wasn't able to make that. And then I was like, well, there goes my window. I'm like, all right, whatever.
There's like 800 drummers
I
in
know.
East Nashville that are going to take this probably.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, it would have been cool. But whatever. And then a couple weeks later, he hit me and was like, hey, we're playing these shows with the band Camino at the end of the month. And I was like,
tell me more.
I'm like, yeah, you texted me because you want me to be there for him? And he's like, yeah, we're looking for a drummer. He's like the guy we played with as like a full-time job. And I was like, I don't have a job. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
You made that clear.
Yeah. I was like, I have no job at all. Yeah. I'm like, I'm also uninsured, you know, like, is that a benefit? I'm like, whatever it takes. I'm like, I got no money. Like, we'll make it happen. Yeah.
I only got 3 pairs of socks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to know that either.
I was like, dude, I don't got a job. I don't got a house. I don't got nothing. Please take me on the road, bro.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But I was basically just like, dude, literally whatever you need. And inside I'm like, this is fire. It was going to be like 2,000 cap, rooms. And I was like, okay, that could be a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
And then, and then
Band Camino.
Yeah. And they're great. We just went on another tour with them in July. That's who we were playing with before the Lawless show. And they're super cool. They're great dudes. They're incredible musicians. And they put on a crazy
here
show
as well, right?
Yeah. They're all, they've all been here for a little while. And they're sick. Their show is amazing. Their show is so good. But I played those shows, and then he went on tour with a band called Bill Murray.
Yeah,
they're so sick.
I'm familiar too.
I absolutely love them. Josh Manuel is one of the best drummers in the world. And they just had Bill Murray's band playing his set like for the shows, and I was like, damn, I was like, Josh is a crazy drummer. I bet he's gonna be like, you should just come out with me. But then Josh was playing with Bill Murray, got scooped up with Kane Brown, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now they got Xavier.
Yeah. Oh,
and Xavier is on a
unreal,
completely different planet.
Unreal.
There's a video.
Not even human.
No, not at all. There's a video of him at the Music City Drum Show, and there was a booth right behind our booth.
Oh, that was him?
That was him. And I just you literally in the video, you see me put my head through the curtain, see him, and just start laughing because it's impossible, the stuff he's doing.
It's things, they don't even make sense. It's like my brain doesn't even hear it as drums because it's like, what are these noises? Dude, I'm like, what is happening?
How are you producing these
His
sounds?
flow is absolutely monumental.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway.
And those shows rip. I think they're in town next week. I'm pretty sure.
They are, and I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in stupid Colorado on my 11th anniversary trip with my wife.
Tough.
What is that new impersonation?
I don't know, some idiot.
I love it.
I don't like him.
We love you, Michelle.
But he's, dude.
Well, I think a fun anniversary date would be the Bill Murray show.
Murray,
You're not wrong. It would be fun for me. It would be zero fun for my wife.
I get it.
But
My wife.
Yeah. But so then he was on tour with them, and I unfortunately, it just made sense. He just hopped on their bus, Right. So they played with him, but I was like, I hope he calls me again. I'd love to do whatever else he does next. And then he did. Like everything we had, Dude. He would just call me, and then we would play, and then eventually I was like, okay, I think this is like my gig now. So,
dude, I love that story. I love hearing how, just to go back to like Red Door even, like when you're new to town and you network, and it's always a weird thing of like you want people around you, especially artists, to know that you're a drummer, you're available, but like there's always a balance of you don't want to appear desperate.
Yeah.
You have to play it cool, right? And like, it's cool to hear like that you met him organically, and then it just took a few of those touch points, and then for him to see you play
Yeah.
sound like cemented, like, oh, this guy's
Truly.
guy's good for me, right?
It really worked out perfectly. And it's like almost like a beautiful love story. Like it's like the same idea of like a beautiful love story where it's like we randomly met at a bar. Next thing you know, he sees me play. He's like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And I'm like, oh, I want to play with him so bad. And then he hits me up. And then, am I going to be playing? Am I not? And then boom, next thing you know, 2 years later, here I am.
Yeah. I think,
almost 3 years.
yeah.
Well, 2 years since he started playing, I guess, since he did his own thing. But
I mean, I think the lesson there is like, there's other connections you make in town. You never know where they're going to be at, like not to burn bridges.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I've been in town for about 4 years. A lot of the gigs I've gotten stem from those early relationships.
yeah.
You know?
And honestly, like the people I met that first year, those were the people that I still talk to, honestly. Like a lot of us were somewhat new to town. And Knox wasn't at the time. I mean, he'd been there for a little bit. But that first year of like meeting people, those are the people that I still kind of talk to for the most part. And I met so many people that first few months just by going out and stuff. And it is kind of crazy how like easy it was, I guess. And like I came from Indiana, so I was like, I didn't have any access to the industry at large, like, I mean, kind of, but not really.
That's how I felt when I was living there.
Yeah. So, and it's like, it's a cool city, but it was like, I didn't feel inspired by any means as far as like,
it's just a different level.
Yeah. So then I come down here and I'm like, oh, wow, like everybody is doing something. Like I'm meeting people who have worked on songs I've heard. And I'm like, what is this? Like, that is crazy. And because that's a dream. Like that's what I've wanted to be doing since I was 12 years old, is like be impactful in musically in some way, like whatever way that is, like whether it's like live shows or recording or whatever, So it was crazy. Like I met a lot of people that first year. And at Red Door, to be honest with you, I met quite a bit of people. Red Door and Mickey's were the two places where I would always meet somebody. Yeah, I would always meet somebody.
I still haven't figured out the whole going to a bar to network thing.
Yeah,
I don't get it yet.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
So realistically, for me personally, I was just so drunk in that period of my life that the networking kind of happened. It networked itself. Like, cause I would just be so drunk. I'm like, I don't even know, bumping into people, talking to people, whatever. Like I wasn't even operating on my own mind at that time. I was just like, and also it's like, I wasn't even networking. Like I didn't think I was networking.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, I'm a pretty sociable person. Like I like talking to people. And even in Indiana, like I'd go to the bar, I'd leave with like 3 friends that I just met, and I'd be like, "You guys want to go watch music videos in my room?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Let's go. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I just kind of took that kind of mentality. I mean, it wasn't even a mentality. It was just like how I was. And then so I didn't even have to like look at it as networking necessarily. Yeah. But
I think networking, the definition or that word gets construed as like someone just fishing for a gig.
Yeah.
But I think what you described is, I think, the healthy version of it. It's not as scary or formal as it might need to be. Like it's just being social, kind of like meeting people, and then you're just like planting those seeds for eventually when there is work to be discussed. Yeah. Then you're already in the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're just people, whatever. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all in the same place. And it's just like, anytime anybody would ask me about networking, I would just be like, just make friends. Just make a bunch of friends and be real friends to them. Like,
yeah, don't be fake.
Yeah. Because there's a lot, there's a lot of that. And I haven't really noticed much of it here. Like there's some people where I'm like, okay, whatever. But for the most part, everyone's pretty genuine.
Yep.
But I mean, that's all it is. It's just like, you're just making friends. And that's...
Yeah, some of those friends will turn into work.
Yeah.
And some won't. That's okay.
Yeah. And like, you're like, you can't even be like selling yourself. It just has to be like, you are yourself. And then people get to know you. And then from there, it's like, oh, he'd be cool on the road or whatever. Or I got a buddy who's looking for a drummer, and they kind of might vibe, and then boom, that's kind of what happens. Yeah. I mean, I guess, that's always what networking has been to me, is just like being friends with people, as many people as I can. Yeah. Because even if I wasn't in music, that's just how I would be probably. Yeah. But it's just great to know people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the name of the game in life is just relationships.
Yeah.
Like it kind of all comes back to that. So, I mean, developing meaningful friendships on purpose is kind of a wise decision.
great.
You should just do that.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, because when like even right now, like I'm not thinking about my bank account, my chores I have to do. I'm not thinking about like nothing else, like, and I just met you guys. So it's like, this is what it's all about. Like people need people, at the end of the day. And all those other things that you worry about, like when you're with people, you realize that like, it doesn't really matter as much because like this is what life is kind of about, so it's great. So it's great. Places like Mickey's are pretty good for that type of thing, for sure.
Village Pub, any of those spots.
Yeah. I mean, really any bar, any place that has alcohol for sure. But
alcohol, food, drugs.
Yeah, seriously.
It's all fair game.
Hell, you can network at the dentist if you know what you're doing.
You could. Yeah, with the right attitude.
We were talking about dentists earlier.
We were. We absolutely were.
You had a hot take about that.
Yeah, it's not my own personal hot take, but I've certain family members of mine who I will not name have mentioned that the dentist is not a real doctor.
You use the wording is not valid.
Yeah,
They're not valid.
They're not valid. And it's funny, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It was my dad that said that. Yeah, it was my dad that said that. And he might have been joking, but it didn't seem like he was because he was like, what is this? What is this thing that they're about to do? It was like a bill or something. He's like, that is not. There's no way that they need to be doing this. I'm like, well, the dentist, I'm like, the doctor said so. He's like, the dentist said so. I'm like, okay, all right. True. But who knows, man?
We're going to get a dentist to sponsor this episode. Too.
Yeah. That would actually be
pretty
great.
ballsy.
That'd be sick. And then we'll get my dad on the phone, and then the dentist will call in, and they can argue.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it is weird. I mean, I go to the dentist, but it's like they come in, like they do the cleaning or whatever, which you know all about, and then like the dentist or the doctor will just come in and like just bang your teeth with metal.
And he's like, "Oh, good over here." It's like, "All right, dude, congrats on the $500,000 this year, man."
He's got a degree on the wall. Dude. It's like, I could have done that.
I'm like, whoa, dude.
I could have taken a fork and done the same thing.
Yeah, they spent like 10 minutes during I just was at the dentist. They spent 10 minutes looking at the roof of my mouth because I've got this little thing. It almost looks like a laceration. I thought everyone had this thing. It's in my palate.
No, Nate, you're special.
I am special.
Remember that.
I'm worse. That's what I am.
Beautiful.
And they're like, oh, can I call the doctor in here? I'd like her to see this. Yeah, that's fine. And then just like blowing air on it and stuff and doing like, hey, y'all, I have other things I need to do today.
I have a podcast today.
Yeah. And by the way, my face is totally numb at this point.
Yeah.
I'm going, I sure hope I can do a podcast later on. We recorded it 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, I got here, and thank God it was like 80% back to normal.
Well, because it's not real doctors. It's not even real medicine they're giving you. So
that's true.
I
wasn't even really numb. I just believed I was
placebo.
numb, so I couldn't feel. Yeah,
exactly. We got to get to the bottom of this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
National Dental Podcast.
This is just in, guys.
Yeah.
Dentists don't do anything.
Yeah. And listen, my official stance on dentists is that they are real doctors. That's my personal official stance.
That's
But
correct.
it is
funny.
funny. It's
Real doctors.
on the
It's
record.
funny to float that out there every now and
it's
then.
hilarious.
Like, and if someone's like, "What are some
I feel
controversial
like most people
opinions you
are
have?"
not disagreeing with you.
No, yeah, because
We've all like felt it.
Yeah.
Like, there's something up
yeah,
here.
it's like, what are they doing exactly? It's like, and I wouldn't know. I don't
that's
know.
the thing. We don't know. They're playing off of our
exactly.
lack
Exactly.
of knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're taking advantage of our ignorance.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are. It's funny. It's probably something my dad says as a joke, and now it's officially he's cemented in history as a guy that doesn't believe in dental science.
Exactly.
That's
Poor
funny.
guy.
Yeah. Oh well.
How do you get the perfect Nashville kick drum tone? It starts with a Lowboy Leather Daddy bass drum beater. This leather-faced beater occupies the sonic space between felt and wood beaters. It's punchy enough to cut through the mix on those 4-on-the-floor barn burners with the warmth you need for slow ballads. Okay, but who plays a Leather Daddy? Garrett Goodwin from Carrie Underwood's band uses one. Lee Brice drummer Donnie Marple plays a pair. Walk down Broadway any night of the week and you're going to hear one. In Nashville, you can test drive a Lowboy beater at Drumbox and grab one at Forks, Drum Supply, or Nelson's. Check out lowboybeaters.com to learn more.
I want to go back to your time at IU.
Yes.
Because you weren't doing anything with music, right? I mean, you were studying to be a social worker? Is that right?
Yeah. So when I first got there, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And my first declared major was classical music theory, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because I took a couple music theory classes in high school and I was like, okay at it. not good enough to be doing it in college for sure. But I was just like, I mean, that's something in music. Like, I didn't really want to go to school, but I felt like it just what had to happen, you know, like, so I just kind of did, I guess. And then I was just like, this is in music, I guess I'll try it. And I did like a year and a half of it, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like I was getting like straight C's, and I was putting in A+ work for sure, like behind the scenes.
Yep.
Like
A+ effort.
Yeah. And the fact that I would still get the test back and be like, this is like 2 away from failing. I'd be like, I can't do this anymore.
Something's not right.
Like, I'm not going to make it through this.
And that's a tough, I mean, the IU Jacob School of Music, right?
It's crazy.
That's like a very well-known school.
It's very
of music.
prestigious. Yeah. There's a lot of incredible musicians there. And luckily I was still able to like meet people that were in the school, and like my drum kind of like, he's more like a drum mentor, I guess, that I had in college, is this dude, Jay Tibbetts. And he is awesome to this day. He's a great dude. He plays with a band called The Strike. And he played with David Archuleta. But he's like a dog, dude. He's so good at drums. Yeah. I mean, and he was getting his master's in jazz drumming when I started like hanging out with him. But I luckily was able to like meet him, and he was in the music school. And so there's like a lot of resources through the music school that I still had access to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started that, and then I was like, I'm not cut out for this. And even if I was like, I don't need to be doing this. Like classical music theory, like what was I wasn't even thinking. I couldn't have been, because that wasn't going to come up. And even in the musical things I wanted to do with my life, they didn't pertain to in any way.
Was there pressure from your family? Are they musical as well? Or?
Not necessarily. They were like, my dad just wanted me to go to school. And it wasn't even necessarily pressure. It was just kind of like, I didn't have an ulterior, like, I think if I had presented him like, hey, how about I have this plan in place, it would have probably been fine. But I was just like, I don't think I want to go to school. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm not sure. He's like, yeah, you'll probably go to school then. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, sounds good.
That's fair.
So yeah, like not really. Like my mom's side of the family is extremely musical. They all grew up like piano and vocals, and my grandfather, I believe, was the choral director at Fresno State for a very long time.
Oh, cool.
So they're like very much in like that world. So that kind of goes in hand with like the classical music theory thing. But yeah, they just wanted me to go. Like they didn't even really care. And I was just kind of like, well, maybe I'll get something out of this. But I don't even, like, looking back, like I should have just done like literally anything in music would have been more applicable to my life.
Yeah.
And it would have been easier. So I don't know exactly what I was thinking, but
or like a business degree, then you're still playing on the side or something.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I ended up, was everything in my life I wanted to do was either social work or music. So my counselor was like, how about we do this? This nonprofit management course is in the social work world. You'll get a degree in nonprofit and a business degree. And it was just like, it's the same thing as business degree. You just have a couple, like, you have to take nonprofit accounting, and you kind of just have to learn a little bit more about that side of it. He's like, but most people who graduate with this still go to the for-profit sector. And I was like, all right, I'll just cruise on that. And then, so that's what I ended up doing. I don't even know where that degree's at. It's somewhere. It might be in my house. It might be at my parents' house. It might, I mean, I don't even know if I have it anymore. So it's like, I am glad overall that I went to school. But yeah, that's the path I ended up taking, and I certainly don't really utilize that degree.
Well, it's interesting though. Where did that passion or interest come into play for you?
Of the social work side?
Nonprofit, yeah.
My whole life, like I was heavily in church when I was younger, and I did a lot of volunteering and like mission trips and all those things, and so that just kind of helped me be like, oh, I love people, you know, like this is. I want to help people. Like, essentially my whole existence was just, I wanted to be somebody that was like, made people's lives better. And I've never envisioned myself having like a regular job. I never really had any vision of a normal life. And I was like, okay, if I'm helping people for my life, like that's awesome. I can easily do that, you know? Mm-hmm. Or music, you know, like, I had like kind of like two ideas of how things were going to go. Either I was going to be playing drums full time and be a musician, or I was going to be in social work in some aspect. But luckily, I decided to take music a little bit more seriously. Not that I wasn't taking it seriously, because I was practicing, you know, like I loved drumming and I played drums every day for 15 years, you know.
Yeah.
But I never really saw it as like a viable, even though I was like, I want to be playing music my whole life. This is what I want to be doing. I didn't really see what I'm doing now as like, this is what I'm going to focus on and do. Because I still had the idea of like, well, I have to get a job, you know, like it's like, it took me a while.
Money's important.
Yeah, for sure. It took me a while to kind of shake that like normal life mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually I did. I mean, I'm glad I made it. I'm so glad I went to school too. I met a lot of really important people in my playing and just like in my life. Like I met a lot of good people. Some of my best friends I met there, and I did play lacrosse through college. So I was able to like be on a team and play sports and like stay in shape as much as I can. And like, it was still a good experience overall. And I'm fortunate enough that my parents paid for it. Otherwise, you know, if I had like student debt, I don't know if I would say the same thing.
Right.
But in the position I was in, like, it was almost all benefits.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like I recognize like that's a pretty privileged thing to have happened. And if I had like loans to pay back, I don't know if I would feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like overall, it would still be positive because I made a lot of good friendships, a lot of good connections. But yeah, I'm not sure. In the situation I am in, I'm glad that I went.
It's worked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Even though, you know, the degree could be anywhere. I might not even have it anymore. I'm sure they have it on file somewhere. I can probably give them a call.
It's
Yeah.
proof that you did finish.
Can you guys just reprint this out for me?
Yeah. I'm like, hey, who can I call about my degree?
It doesn't need to be
like,
framed or on stock
yeah.
paper. Literally just the cheap paper. is
Just
fine.
send me a PDF, to be
Yeah, just
honest.
email me.
Yeah. Just like snap a pic of it and just send it to me. I don't even care. Yeah, that's good
Just
enough.
need it for the files.
Yeah. It's somewhere though. I did get it. I for sure got it.
We believe
I
you.
for sure got it. There's a picture of me holding it and I'm standing next to my grandma. So that definitely.
Well, we're going to fact check
Yeah.
this whole conversation.
It's on
so-
Facebook somewhere, I'm sure.
It's on Facebook.
It might not be. I don't know. I
Just
think
zoom
it is.
in on the picture on Facebook and then just
Yeah.
crop that and then print it out. There
I like
you go.
that. I like that.
Problem
Yeah,
solved.
there we go. I have my degree.
Why is your
still.
degree so blurry?
Yeah. I'm like, well, it was a long time ago, I guess. It's faded.
Because I didn't have a clear vision.
Yeah,
for the
they
future.
printed degrees out real blurry back then.
Yeah.
It was kind of a trend that month.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
It's because I use it so much.
It's
And it's faded. You can't see it. It's worn. It's like worn a little bit. I'm like, it's not blurry. It's
faded from all my tears.
yeah.
Just
Seriously.
cry from being so happy that I have it.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming, did you?
Which I am. Which I mean, if it does feel good. I mean, people are like, "Do you have a degree?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I have a degree." But I mean, what does it really mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have any bearing on my life at this current moment.
Right, like
so.
I have a degree in music business and then audio production and percussion.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate and lucky. Like I'm definitely like in that career field for sure. But I'm not like, I feel, and we've talked about this a bunch. I mean, I could be just where I am at, if not further along without a degree.
Yeah.
But like you, like I'm very grateful. Some of my best friends and mentors are still from my college years.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot just about myself, about living alone, just growing up through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and definitely like the one of the most important experiences I had in my drumming was like at school, and particularly with this dude Jay. Shout out Jay Tibbetts, great guy. But he was like, I took some lessons with him, and one of the first things that we did was he was like, just play. It was what song was it? I think it was Play That Funky Music. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But he's like, just learn this note for now. Play it exactly like it's played. And he's like, and make sure that when you're hitting the hi-hat, it sounds like how he hits the hi-hat and everything you're doing. He's like, make sure it just sounds exactly like it sounds on the record. And I was like, oh, all right. And then I did that. And then I kind of learned to play very differently because I very much came from like metal, heavy music, like pop punkish, but like definitely metal. Like I leaned like hardcore metal.
What are we talking here?
Yeah, you've got Nate.
So
Nate's
let's see.
interest has peaked.
So when I was, it was like 2004 probably, I got a CD from my cousin Lucas that he and my cousin Christopher had burned. And the first song was Bleed American. And it was great. But the second song was it was Reinventing Your Exit by Under Oath. And then that was the one where I was like, what am I hearing here? I'm like, what am I listening to? And then from there, I was like 10 years old. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah. And I just went all in with that. And then like bands like Emery, Agile Dying was like my first like metal band that I loved. Yeah. But if you name a metal band from between 2002 and like 2015, I probably listened to them and I might probably have seen them live. Like,
dang, all right.
I was going crazy. Like I loved like August Burns Red. Like For Today was a band I loved a lot. Oh Sleeper. Basically anything that would be in the Christian metal world too. But then even like Job for a Cowboy, Whitechapel, like the like deathcore kind of
Texas
stuff.
in July.
Oh, that drummer,
dude, Adam Gray.
Yes,
they came to my college. It was like a fall concert. It wasn't even like at a big venue. It was like in like the music department. Like it was like a random stage.
They are crazy.
And they just destroyed the whole building.
They are crazy. I remember a video of him playing some song on chairs, but he like was literally playing on like. And I remember I was like 14 and I'm like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. This dude's playing on chairs, man. And it sounded sick. But yeah, I used to love that guy. And he would do like the flips and stuff while he's doing his like,
insane,
yeah, he was crazy. I never got to see them live. Actually, I think I did. Yeah, I lied. Yeah. I did see them live in like 2011, I think, at Broad Ripple in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that.
Did you go to like Warped Tour and all that?
Yeah, I went to Warped Tour, I want to say 6 years. I went like a bunch. I went pretty much from like 2009 was my first Warped Tour. I went in Cincinnati. And I absolutely loved it. I saw like 4 Years Strong, Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah, so all that to say, like I was very much like on my Facebook, the only 2 videos that I ever posted was I was playing a Devil Wears Prada song and I was playing 11th Hour by August Burns Red. So it was like, that was the world that I was in for sure.
Yeah.
And then when I got like late middle school, Paramore was the band. Mm-hmm. Like, and to this day, Zach Farrow is probably the biggest influence on my drumming ever.
Dude, he's so freaking underrated.
I
love his choices, dude.
Me too. I mean, I think he's one of the best drummers out there. Like, I truly believe he's one of the best drummers out there just because of how tasteful he is when he plays and how good the things he plays are. Like, he for sure influenced my playing more than anybody else has. And there's somewhere on YouTube, there's a video that I did where I recorded a cover of Careful and I did the guitar and the drums to it. So it's out there somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
Yeah, it's for sure out there. But so that was like, they were the band that was like, they got me into music at a level that they were the band where I was like, that's what I want to do. You know, I was like, oh, like I love music. I love drumming, obviously. But I was like 14 or 15. And then I was like, this is it. Like, this is the best band ever. I want to do this. And I remember I was watching, before they released Brand New Eyes, they did like the little like behind the scenes clips on their website. I remember I would refresh every day. I'm like, did they get a new one? You know, I was trying to watch that. Yeah. And I was just like, I was so tuned in. And they are an incredible, to this day, I mean, they're one of the best bands of the last 20 years. I still feel that.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, them and then Under Oath was massive. You know, Aaron Gillespie, incredible drummer. I love the way he plays. And it's in the same like Zach Farrell world. But it's definitely like his drumming was just unreal. But yeah, so those were kind of the things that I was doing when I got to college. And when I really realized, I was like, oh, I want to actually be a good drummer. I was like, I had a lot of habits of like just smacking, you know, just like playing fast and hard. And I had no grace behind the kit at all. And I didn't really realize that. And I mean, I could play fine, but not to the level that I was like, oh, okay. Like when I heard a real good player, I'd be like, oh, I don't do that. You know,
Yes.
like I'm doing something a little bit different. And
did you have lessons during like your middle school, high school years?
kind of. So I started playing when I was 6 or 7, and I took lessons for a few years. And I lived in Lawrenceville, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. I lived like right next to the Mall of Georgia. I lived there when they put it in, so somewhere in that area. But I took lessons for the first couple years, and then we ended up moving to Ohio. And I was trying to take lessons, but it was a very small city that we lived in, like outside of Cleveland. And the drum teacher at the music shop was a guitar teacher. Like that, they're just like, you can probably do this too, right? And he's like, sure.
You could teach the guitar, but only its drums, right?
Yeah. And I remember there was one time where, so I kind of thought I was kind of like, I was never like conceited, but I kind of felt like I was like kind of good, because at 12, this music store had a drum competition and I won as a 12-year-old.
Nice.
And I was like,
Yeah, that's going to go right to your head.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
And
Not
then,
bad.
yeah, right. And then,
It wasn't like the Guitar Center drum off, or it was just like that, but like a local.
it was essentially that, but yeah, it was like, they only had one day, and it was like, I think like 12 contestants, maybe tops, like, and it's like a small town, you know, it's like a small Ohio town.
Yep.
There aren't like, you know, there's not many like real shedders, you know, in Mansfield, Ohio. And don't get me wrong, there actually are a lot of really good players there.
Yeah.
But, you know, nobody's showing up to the drum competition at the
On that
local
one
music
day.
store. Yeah. So I was like, oh man,
How did that take away from your victory? That's still,
dude,
that's an impressive
It was
feat.
cool. It was definitely cool. Like, and it like meant something, but
Yeah, sure.
in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then the drum teacher that I had that was a guitar teacher, it got to a point where he was like, there's nothing else I can teach you. And I was just like, I was like 12 or 13. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I just started playing. I started playing guitar because he was a guitar teacher. So I was like, how about you teach me guitar?
Might as well.
Yeah. But from there, I was like, okay, like I'm just going to play, you know, and like I felt like I was good. I was playing in church and stuff, but I didn't take lessons again for a little while. I think my last lesson was probably when I was 12. And then I never got back into like structured lessons.
Yep.
There was a drummer in Chicago. His Instagram is Stix Jams, like STIX Jams. And he was in a band called Kids These Days. And it's like rock with a rap vocalist. And I thought it was the coolest shit in the world. I was like, this is so good. I'm like, and the drums were so good. I was like, I want to play like this guy. So I remember I just tweeted at him. And I was like, yo, I tweeted like a video of his or something. I was like, this is sick. You are so good. I'm like, you know, do you do lessons or whatever? Can we meet up sometime? And he basically was like, yeah, dude. He's like, where you at? Come through, you know, like we'll make it happen.
Damn.
And I specifically remember I can almost contribute my entire life path from like 18 on to this moment where I'm kind of thinking I'm pretty good. And again, like I'm not like, I didn't think I was like, I'm not like, oh, I'm so good. I'm just like, you know, I'm a good drummer.
Yeah. You know enough to fulfill any situation.
Yeah. And then I'm 18 at the time. I just graduated high school and I go to take a lesson with this dude. And we went to Vic's Drum Shop in Chicago and they got like drum rooms you can rent out and stuff. And he sat down and like to adjust himself to the kit, he played something. And I remember sitting there and I was just like, after 8 seconds, I was like, oh, I'm not good like I thought I was, dude. I'm like, this guy is good, dude. And then so I took a couple lessons with him.
Don't you love that feeling?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And it was like maybe one of the most important moments in my career because I immediately was just like, I have so much to learn. Like I am so beyond, like I will not, I'm nowhere near where I need to be, you know, like I have so much to do still. I'm like, oh, I better get to work, you know?
That's such a humbling experience.
It
I
absolutely
think we've
was.
all been there.
And that, honestly, like to take a second and think about how there is a value. People, this is a hot take, and some people are going to be real mad at me for saying this, but there is a value in having a kind of competitive mindset, and it's not because you always have to be the best, but when you see somebody that's better than you, like you should be. Like for me, I see somebody doing something that I'm interested in and they're way better. I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah, it's like I want
to
to
be around that and I want to watch you do that and I want to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And it was kind of like I know how I felt when I heard him play. I was like, oh.
Inspired.
Like I want people to feel that way when I play.
Yes.
You know, like I want to sit down and people to be like, oh, geez. Like that kid's good, you know, like. And it was definitely the most important moment in my music career because then I was like, oh, I got to get better. Like, and then I went on this like, not conceited because it was all coming from a good place, but I was like, I'm going to be the best drummer in the world. I was like, I'm going to be the number one drummer.
I'm the
you know?
guy. Yeah.
And like, obviously, you know, like that is a pretty crazy goal, and you know, I tried my best, you know, like, and I'm still, you know, I still am getting better, you know.
Yeah, you're still working on it.
Yeah. I got time. I got time.
Yeah.
As long as the world is here, I can still climb through the ranks. But it was just kind of like, I was like, oh, I'm going to go hard as possible. And he kind of was just like, he told me, he was like, I was in high school and I was either going to play football or drums. And when I would have been at football practice, I just went home and I played drums all day. And I was like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I just played, like, I tried to play like at least 3 hours a day, every day. And pretty much any bit of free time I had, I was like, I'm going to be playing. And I did that for several years. And that definitely helped me like get better, you know, like,
sure.
Once I realized, I was like, oh, I have to like really work at this. He definitely showed me that, like, I mean, it probably didn't even register to him at that time, you know, but he's like genuinely an amazing drummer. He like plays for Ludwig. And he's played like every festival in the world. Like he was the biggest inspiration for sure in my drum career. Not even up to that point. Like he's definitely the biggest inspiration overall. And he's been super cool. Like ever since that moment, anytime he's playing a show, like I've gone to his shows and we've talked a little bit here and there. And like he does these jam nights in Chicago where people just pull up and just play. And like, it's incredible. He's a super cool dude. And he's just an incredible musician. But yeah, from there, then I kind of like took a few lessons here and there with him. And then with Jay in college, I took lessons for a few months, you know, and then my schedule got out of control again. And then when I was back in Fort Wayne, I did take lessons with Todd Harold, who was like a local, just legendary drummer, like incredible drummer, dude. Like he does like shows every weekend and he sings. He's like the singer and the drummer and he's like incredible. So since I never really got into like an actual like structured, like taking lessons kind of thing. Like I was off and on, never enough to really like make too much of a difference besides like just help me like kind of get inspired to be like, oh yeah, I have to practice again. And, but so I'm not quite self-taught. I definitely took, you know, lessons here and there, but I'm like teetering the line of like, most of my drumming has just been like YouTube videos and like playing songs and like learning things. And, so all I have to say, I started out taking lessons and then kind of didn't really for a while, but I never stopped playing for sure.
Yeah.
I think I was 10 or so when I played in front of people for the first time. And then from there, I was just like, I have to do this every day. You know? I loved it.
Well, I want to hear your take because I know for me, some of my best teachers, besides being killer drummers, of course, we would go through formal lessons, but really like they taught me how to teach myself. They taught me processes. Yeah. They taught me systems. And like now I'm at a place where maybe similar to you then, it was like, you know, I'm getting hired, I'm getting gigs, I'm in a good place, but I don't have like a method book. I'm not taking lessons. But like, there's still always room to grow. And like, I want to. How have you continued to stay hungry to keep pushing?
A lot of that is just like making sure that a lot of it came down to like taking care of myself. I've noticed that there's been like a direct correlation with like how I'm taking care of myself, my mental health, and like my physical health, and how much I care about anything at all. So it's whenever I do care about things, which I'm at a good place now for sure. Like I haven't drank in 2 years and 8 months. So I had to cut alcohol completely.
Good man.
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, it was like, it just had to happen. I mean, it had to happen. But
it's hard, especially like, cause you said at the time when you were at Red Door, like, I was just basically drunk.
Yeah.
It's so drunk. It's hard when that thing has been like, well, it was kind of like a benefit to me at that time.
Yeah, it really was. And the way I kind of look at that now is like, I didn't have to be spending $100 at every bar I went to, you know, like, like you could, like my advice to people who ask about that, cause it's happened before, people are like, well, like, what do you do then? Like, how do you go out? Like, you can go out and like do whatever you need to do, but like, you can still be there, you know, like I still go to bars, you know, now and stuff. And like, it's obviously a little different. But also like drinking is just kind of is what it is. People do it. So it's like, if you're going to go and have a couple beers, no problem at all. In my life, for sure, it was just like, it became just a total, it was a drain on everything. So a lot of that for me was like, I was losing so much of my like drive and determination. And I'm just like, damn, like, am I even supposed to be in music anymore? Like, especially, I almost stopped pursuing like a career in music right before I moved from Indiana. And I was like 26, and I was just kind of like, what am I even doing? Like, I don't like anything. I don't have fun doing this anymore. Like, I wasn't practicing. I wasn't doing anything. And it kind of scared me a little bit, because that was something that since I was, 10 years old, I was like, I want to play drums, Yeah. So I think for me, being motivated and still trying to be as good of a musician as I can, it all came from like taking care of myself. And once I like realized like, oh, I am worth making good decisions for. Like, I am worth setting myself up for success.
It's a great line. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worth it. Yeah.
Seriously, and like it got to a point where I was like, nothing mattered. I was just apathetic. It didn't matter if I was drinking all day, because who cared? Like, whatever. I'm just going to do it again tomorrow. Like, and eventually, like when I kind of was like, this has to end. I have to change everything. Slowly but surely, the whole drive thing kind of just like reinstated, like kind of like my normal functions of my central nervous system and my like mind. They came back, and it was helpful to be like, it was definitely helpful to be in Nashville, where I'm surrounded by so many incredible musicians. You can see world-class musicians like all over the place here, Yeah. So that was for sure helpful. But for me personally, it was just like, I had to be okay with myself. I had to feel like I was worth putting the work in for anyways. Now I'm back to a point where like I practice, almost daily if I can. And like, I'm playing regularly again, finally. But yeah, I mean, there was a period of time there where like, and I say all that, but I still played, like, I was still doing shows and stuff, but I didn't like have the same like fire,
Yeah.
It definitely
kind of running through the
It can
motions.
die without you even noticing it sometimes.
Yeah. And it really did, And I remember I was 26, and I was just like, what am I doing? And I worked in fine dining, and I love fine dining. And if I wasn't in music now, that's where I would be for sure. But there's a point where I was just like, do I just want to do this and like ride this? Because I was making great money. I was still able to like help people, like you're serving. It's a service industry. Like you're making people's life better, like really, And it got to a point where I was like, maybe this is just what I need to do, because I don't have the determination. And I remember I was always like talking to my friends. I'm like, how can you be disciplined? Like, what can you do? I tried to slow down my drinking for like 3 years, before I stopped. So I was always like, I'm like looking up videos on discipline and like, how do you get determined and like all these things. And it was just like, I just couldn't do it. And I wasn't practicing, and I was barely playing. And I had to be very real with myself before I kind of started taking my own music seriously again. So all that to say, realistically for me, it was just like, when I am taking care of myself and I care about myself and I'm making decisions that are good for me, it's like, okay, well, I am a drummer, and I want to be as good as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Like
only then will you have that drive to then push yourself.
Yeah, seriously. Because if not, like, if you don't care what's going on, like, I mean, I would wake up every morning, and I had like, and sometimes I'm telling these stories, and it almost feels like I'm just riffing, because I would like wake up in the mornings, and my dresser is connected to my bed frame, and I had a box of wine on it. Nice. And I'd open my eyes, and I'd be like, oh yeah, grab my cup, fill it up with a little wine. And like every day, like I started with some kind of alcohol and just didn't stop drinking all day.
Really?
Wow.
So it was like, I was just so apathetic about everything. And it really was like, I had to get very introspective, and like cutting alcohol out was the only option for me personally. I'm not necessarily advocating that everybody, do that, but
sure,
it definitely was necessary for me. And it helped me like revitalize my relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Which was like, I didn't even know that it had gone to the point that it did. I remember like 2 months in or so of not drinking, I heard a song and I started crying, and I'm like, I forgot you're supposed to feel things with music, dude. Like you're supposed to have these emotions and things.
You're
and
a
like,
whole new person, really.
Yeah, because it got to a point where I'm like, music doesn't sound good. I don't like it. I don't like playing. I don't like anything. But realistically, like I was suppressing my central nervous system every single day, all day.
Yeah.
And then eventually that's like what your body adjusts to. And then you're like, I'm either, when I'm not drinking, I feel anxious, so I have to start drinking again. And then what am I going to do? Get drunk and then go do paradiddles for an hour? No.
Yeah, no.
You know, so it like, for me personally, it was like taking care of myself was the only way that I was going to be able to be like concerned with my drumming at all, like in any real way.
Yeah.
And especially now, it's like I'm surrounded by enough people. I've seen Josh Manuel play enough times too now where I'm just like, dude, like I gotta, take this seriously, because like if I'm continuing to be like seen, I want to make sure that I am at a certain level of like, at least like a very solid drummer.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now the intrinsic motivation is all there again. Yeah. Because I just kind of had to just do everything differently. But yeah, all that to say, just taking care of myself and making sure that I'm surrounded by people that will support that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being so open with your journey. I didn't realize that you went through all that.
Yeah. And I honestly
it's cool
did
to see you now on the other side.
Yeah, thank you, man.
In a very healthy way.
Yeah. And I didn't really realize I was going through it either.
Yeah, right.
Like realistically, I didn't realize a lot of these things until like 6 months ago. Because even when I stopped drinking, I was like, all right, things are going to start changing any day here now. And it took like a little more than a year to be like, oh, I forgot. I have to put work in still.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of that looked like it was like after about a year or so of not drinking where I was like, what else am I going to do? Like, I guess I'll start taking drums seriously again. And then I like started playing. And I'm fortunate enough too that I have a buddy that was able to bring me into his drum room at Diamond too.
Yeah.
So luckily I share a room with a couple guys.
We know that room well.
Dude,
Yeah, we used to share a room. We used to do this podcast there.
Let's go. I love it, dude. It's a great place, man.
It is.
It's a great place.
Great memories there.
And I got lucky too. I'll shout him out now too. Like I met, do you guys know Andrew Cook by any chance?
Andrew Cook.
He is incredible dude.
Sounds really familiar.
Incredible dude. He plays with Dan and Shay.
Yeah, Elegy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He owns Elegy and other things.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He makes great cold brew.
He does. It's incredible. I love that place. I love Elegy.
God, I could go for that right now.
I know.
I need
I'm
some energy.
I'm saying it's one of my favorite shops in Nashville for sure.
Yeah.
But I just got lucky that, first of all, that he was so cool. He was just so cool with me from the beginning. But when I first moved here, I was working at the pharmacy in East Nashville, and I still am technically
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm still technically employed there. I'll pick up shifts every now and
And they're
then.
just like, where have you been for the past year?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah. And like, I'm lucky that they're so cool too. Cause like, if I ever need, money, like I haven't been there in like 3 months and I don't, who knows when I'm going to be there again, but they're super cool with, I mean, that's ultimate flexibility right there.
Dude,
I mean, I'm not even working there and I'm still working there,
Still on the payroll at least.
Yeah. But his girlfriend started working there about the same time that I did. And then we became friends. And then I found out that, her boyfriend was a drummer and like we just kind of were able to connect pretty early on. And he was able to help me in so many ways. But yeah, recently he was able to get me into his drum space like a year or so ago, maybe a little bit more than that. But so luckily I've also had like people that have been able to kind of help facilitate my, my practice routines and stuff. Yeah.
You need a support system, especially
sure.
in this town. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but there's people here. You still have to put in the work and reach out and find them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I think eventually it works out the way it's supposed to work out, for everybody, as long as you're doing the work that you need to do. And I think that is on yourself as well as like your career side of things, I think it goes hand in hand. I've noticed for sure that my career and my personal life, they both get bad and they both flourish at the same time because it's just like hand in hand. Because it's like if I'm
not a coincidence.
Yeah, no, for sure. If I'm not doing well, of course I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not practicing the way I need to. I'm not taking anything seriously. But then once you kind of like, all right, let's get it together, then things start working. I mean, it wasn't until I stopped drinking that I started gigging pretty regularly. That first year I didn't drink. I mean, I played more drums than I ever had.
Yeah.
And then being able to get in with Knox that same year, it's like, it feels like everything kind of just shifted completely when I was like, put my foot down. All right, I'm going to make a decision and here it is. And then let's see what happens. And that was kind of when everything kind of came back into focus of like, oh, I do love drumming. I do love being good at something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like a self-pride thing too. Like, it's not even like, of course I want to be as good as I can at drums because it's what I do. Why would I not want to be as good as I possibly can? And it's easy to lose sight of that for sure, you know?
Anything that you're doing consistently, like, why would you not want to be good at that? Like, as good as you possibly could.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand
Seriously.
that.
Yeah. Even cooking. Like, I have been trying to eat well too. And so now I'm like, I take cooking seriously and I try to get better at cooking. It's just like everything in my life.
Dude,
like, I feel like it's
so
like,
cool.
Yeah.
My favorite quote is, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Right. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like what you're describing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So if you put your energy into cooking, it's going to transform into drumming, to practice routines, to
For sure.
what you eat, sleep, everything.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. And like, I played sports like my whole life too. So that was kind of like the mentality there too. And then just something switched when my lacrosse eligibility was up in 2017 was my last year. And then I just kind of like kept drinking and just like, that's kind of when it all, not necessarily went downhill, but that was when it was like, I didn't have anything. I didn't have school anymore. I didn't have sports anymore. And it all kind of was just like, oh, I have to do this on my own accord. I have to want to wake up early enough to make a, good life for myself on my own. Yeah. And that was kind of where it was like, I ramped the drinking up, and that was, it was
Hobbies, drinking.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And then literally like anything I was doing, I was going to be drinking anyway. So it's like, that was accurate for me for sure. But it was so weird being like so disciplined for my whole life. And then immediately just kind of being like, oh, I didn't really like account for myself in any of these decisions.
Yeah.
Like obviously when I was playing sports, I wanted to be the best lacrosse player I could. I wanted to be as good as possible at whatever I was doing. But then once that disappeared, it's like, what I want to be good at now. Like I went back to Fort Wayne and I was like, I have a band that I'm in that I'm a part of, and we were playing. I wasn't like full-time doing music by any means, like there was really nowhere to, we could play like 2 or 3 different bars a couple times a year.
Yeah.
And that was like it. So I was just kind of like, I didn't have anything to really like make me feel like I was doing anything.
Right. And I'm sure it's hard to have that mentality. I want to be the best at something when you didn't have something to really like shoot for, I guess. Or like you didn't have those opportunities, right? Or the same level.
Yeah. And like,
it sounded like there was a ceiling. So
yeah, for sure. And it's, I'm making it seem like it was like, I just gave up on drums at the time. But through this time, I was still like practicing. Like I was still trying to do like the 3 hours a day and stuff. It didn't feel the same. Yeah. And I was very much like, I was wearing myself out. And then it was like, I did as much practice as I possibly could. And I'm thankful for that time too, because I did get better at drums, like significantly for sure. From like 2015 when I first met Jay until like 2020, I definitely got significantly better because I was working at it, but it didn't feel like, I hated it, kind of.
Yeah.
I was just like, it didn't feel like fun. It didn't feel rewarding. But that was because I was like slowly losing a grip on myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't even recognize it at the time. But like looking back, I'm like, clearly something was very wrong in my personal life that I didn't acknowledge. And then I just slowly slid further and further down into that. And then by 2021, I'm like, at the end of 2020, I was like, I'm never going to be a professional musician in any way. Like, so I was 25. And I was just like, what am I even doing? I'm 3 years out of college. I'm like, this is pointless. I'm like, I'm never going to be a musician. I'm like, I might as well just focus on bartending. And I loved bartending. Like I love craft cocktails. I love fine dining. I love food. I love it all. But it wasn't really like, it's something that I enjoy doing for sure, but it wasn't really where my life should have gone. Yeah. And I was about to put my life into that direction. And then I just got really lucky, honestly, that my friend, so one of the bands I toured with, they were called Twice Young. They are incredible. It's basically this dude, Tyler Los Papalos. He was my first roommate when I moved down here. He was the first band I ever toured with. I owe him a lot for sure as far as like my music career goes, because he was the first band I ever like toured with. Like first band where it was like, I don't know these guys. They're asking me to play with them. Let's go, And I moved down here. He just texted me. He was like, yo, we have a room open. We'd like to get you in there like in like May. Cause he'd been trying to get me down here for a while. And then, I just got lucky enough that my lease was about to be up. I really felt like I needed to make a change. I just got out of a relationship in Indiana. And I was just like, all right, I'll do it. And then I moved down here. I was going to be here for 6 months and then moved to LA because my mom's from LA, whole family on that side is in Southern California still. So I was like, I'll go hang out with that side of the family for a little bit. But yeah, I got down here and then I just loved it. And then it still took me like several months to realize that like I wasn't doing the right things in my own personal life. Because when I did move down here, I was drinking like crazy. I mean, I was spending $100 a night probably. Like a lot of money was spent on alcohol that first year I was here.
But it's so easy in this town.
Dude, I know.
In this industry, and in Nashville, where there's a million bars,
I was putting up triple-digit tabs at Mickey's, man. Like, it was bad news. Like, that is hard to do. That is crazy stuff.
Cheapest bar,
yeah. But there was still very much, like, a small bit of, like, come on, dude, you want to do music. Like, you don't. So, even with all those things I said, like, and losing sight of everything, and, like, the moment that the opportunity presented itself, because I wasn't making my own opportunities by any means. I was just like laying down in the current of least resistance. The moment that there was like even a glimmer of like, maybe I can still be in music if I make this decision. I was like, yep, doing it. Did it. And then it still took me like a year to really realize like, oh, I have to stop drinking. And my girlfriend now, we both stopped at the same time. And that was a big factor in me stop. Actually, that's really the only reason I really stopped. Well, not even the only reason. But she was like, if we're going to be together in a serious relationship, like we can't live like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're probably right. I can give you a month. Yeah. I was like, I'll do a dry January for you. No problem. Sweet. Then we'll call it a day on that. Right.
Yeah. And then everybody else.
Yeah,
that,
dude, I know. And she was like, no, I'm like done. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. And then like 3 weeks in, I was like, oh, I'm a severe alcoholic, and like,
damn, yeah.
and luckily, I owe her a lot too, for sure, because without her, I don't know where my life would be as far as like the decisions I make and the way that I'd be living. Who knows what it would be, but I know for a fact I would not be as dedicated again to like my career as a drummer and my just like my desire to be good at drums.
Yeah.
Like it definitely wouldn't be there if I hadn't completely stopped. So yeah, all that to say, I think that I had to relearn intrinsic motivation, and like I had to relearn that I was worth making good decisions for. And it wasn't until then that I was like, oh, I forgot. Like I do want to be a drummer. Like I want this to happen. I'm like, what was I doing? Like, and even now I look back, I'm like, that is crazy. I wish, I almost feel like I got a late start kind of, because I've been playing for 22 years at this point. There's part of me that's like, dude, you should have just done this in 2017 and made the move then.
Right.
And then, who knows where you'd be. But it's like,
yeah. It's always easy to think like that.
Yeah, I know.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But good on you for still having that mindset.
Yeah.
Persevering.
And that was like, I don't even know where it came from necessarily. I mean, it just came from the fact that music was so intertwined with my identity and who I am. I mean, like, if I wasn't playing in front of people, I truly would be completely lost.
Yeah.
Like I started doing it when I was 10, and then I was playing in church all of high school, and then I was playing in bands in college, and then I've been playing since then. And it's like, if I wasn't doing that, I would be so confused about my identity and who I am as a person.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that I was able to kind of set the ship right on that one and get back in a good direction. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a little bit deeper than I was, than probably like the normal answer to that would be.
That's a beautiful, beautiful way to answer it while covering your journey. I mean, that's why you're here. So I appreciate you sharing all that.
Yeah. No problem.
So,
I do like talking about it. So, I mean, not like I like talking about it, but I've got no problem talking about it.
I think it's inspiring for other people listening that maybe are going through that. It's almost simple advice. It's harder to execute, I'm sure, but just like, it has to start with you from within, and you have to be doing it for the right reasons. Yeah, and ultimately, the rest will fall into place after
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. It's like the most profound things are the simplest. They're all so simple, but it's like.
Simple don't mean easy.
It's exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's like all.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. So, yeah.
You've heard of Drum Supply, but you gotta see their shop. It's a drum shop experience like no other.
They're packed with all the gear a working drummer needs, and so many parts, noise toys, and accessories. It's a toy store. Curated cymbals, kits, and snares. The hands-on percussion room is nuts, and their custom shop work is fast and affordable. Andy and the guys know their stuff, and they're ready to help. And the big news? They've just moved to an awesome new location near the corner of East Trinity Lane and Dickerson Pike. Still in East Nashville, just a couple miles from their old spot, the all-new drum supply is twice as big, featuring a dedicated cymbal room, a lesson space, and even more drum gear than ever. Go see the new drum supply shop for yourself. Now open 11 to 5 at 2211 Dickerson Pike and online at drumsupply.com.
So you're in Nashville. You're
Yes.
on tour with Knox. My question, just overall, is what is it like being a pop drummer in this city? 'Cause that's something that I am still kind of figuring out, like where my lane is.
Yeah.
A lot of my gigs these days are country, but very much also still in the pop world too, which I love. I love both of those genres.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressured? Do you feel like, I mean, you've definitely sort of chosen your direction, it seems, but how is that being in Nashville and not LA?
For me personally, like, I never really had a country experience like musically here either. From the moment I moved down here, the first gig I got was with a band called Moody Judy.
Oh, I know those guys.
Yeah, they're great. I mean,
they just
I love
signed
them.
a pub deal, right?
Yeah. I'm so stoked for them. They're so sick. I mean, they deserve everything good that's coming their way. But that was the first band that reached out to me to play. And it was only because they had a drummer that was going to fly in, but like got COVID or something. And I remember they called me and they were like, yo, can you run tracks? And I was like, dude, of course I can run tracks. And I had never run tracks in my life. Yeah. I was like, yeah, definitely I can run tracks.
Hey, that's what we just said with Garrett and everybody else on the show is say yes before you're ready.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And cause like, it's like stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful, but it's necessary. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to figure out how to do this. I just kind of made it work. Looking back, I'm like, oh, it's pretty simple. Like there's really nothing to it, but technology's not my thing by any means. At all. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll ask my girlfriend, I'm like, the PlayStation, I'm like, is it on? I'm like, cause it's not on the TV. She's like, input, dude. I'm like, okay, all right.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. But like,
Good point.
yeah. But like, so I never really had anything besides like a pop experience here. And then the next gig I got was with Fangs. And he's like pop rock still, you know, like very much like more the music that I have always been interested in. So I'm trying to think if I've even played a single country gig. I don't know that I even have.
See, there you go. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
Though. It's like you don't have to. Of course, this is a country city to respect where the city came from
For
and all
sure.
that. But like, you can move here. It's 2024. Like, you can move here, and there's so much more to this city than country.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not opposed to playing, you know, country. Like I do at this point now. Like I enjoy country. Like my mom never really let me listen to it when I was younger.
What
like
kind of country?
I like.
She didn't let you listen to it?
Well, not necessarily that she didn't let me listen to it, but she's from like Los Angeles, and her favorite bands are like The Cure, and like that was another big part of my musical journey. Was like when I hit high school, I was like, oh, The Cure is sick. Like I love The Cure and Joy Division and New Order, and like that's probably my favorite overall genre, and like Depeche Mode, like. But that's what she listened to. So when I was younger, if she was listening to music, I just didn't have access to country music, basically.
Right.
You know, because like my parents were kind of like the gatekeepers, so to speak, on what I would be able to listen to.
Right. Yeah. If you weren't exposed to it early on,
Yeah.
that's part of who you are growing up. You know.
Yeah. So it was never really in my musical world. And then even when I moved to like Ohio and Indiana, like I was around it, but I was old enough at that point where I was like, you know, not my thing. Don't love it. But for sure now, like I have a different appreciation and respect for it than I did. And I'm almost like, damn, I wish I did listen to it earlier because it's pretty good. Like there's a lot of like,
Yeah.
country music is great.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah. So I just like, if anybody ever called me about a country gig, I'd play it. Like I do like it. I would have fun doing it. I just somehow went right to pop and then just stayed in that world, I guess. Like That was my first gig here, and then that was it.
Well, you've got some good gigs. That's why it's easy to stay, and
I'm extremely.
You haven't had a reason to really pivot, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm extremely blessed too of the shows I've been able to play. And then I was playing with a band called Double Camp for a while too, and they're awesome. They're like still in the pop world. They're like in a like kind of just like fun, kind of like floaty, vibey, pop music, and those are the bands I've been playing with since I got here. And then obviously Knox is well in the pop lane. So that has been, I'm happy with it because that's like what I wanted to do. Like I was always like, I thought I was going to drum for like a hip hop artist. That was kind of like, because when I met that dude, Sticks Jams, he plays with Chance the Rapper and he's played with him for like, since the beginning. Yep. And then he's played with like SZA and like watching him play, I was always like, this is the best music I've ever heard in my entire life. And I want to do this. So I really thought, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like a hip hop drummer for sure. Cause it's to this day, like the funnest to play. Like,
so fun. Yeah.
Especially like the live arrangements of hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that, like for live shows. But a lot
I
of
was
those,
looking forward to watching back to football, the Super Bowl halftime shows, those arrangements.
so good. I mean, unbelievable.
It's like that, what's his name? That one dude that literally is like the arranger behind all those, you know what I'm talking Adam Blacksmith?
Yeah.
It's just insane.
So good.
Because the drum, I mean, there's no holding it back. It's chops, it's pocket, it's feel,
and
it's
all
everything.
So tasteful and so perfect.
It's so fun.
And that's for sure. Like I was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. But
sorry, I think Adam Blackstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Want to make sure I get that right.
But yeah, like, and luckily, a lot of pop music is kind of has similar arrangements. Like I saw Renee rap at a Hangout Fest, and I was blown away. Like it was like a straight up just like chop city, dude. It was crazy. Like the arrangements were unbelievable, and a lot of like, because I'm sure it's a lot of the same MDs. Like I don't know. I'm assuming it is. Like I'm sure a lot of like the.
I think it's probably a tight knit circle.
Yeah. So there's still a lot of that in pop music for sure. And especially like now I'm looking at like a lot of like, obviously like Justin Bieber's band is like just dirty.
Oh,
they're so good. They're so good.
Yeah.
And that dude is so good. Devin Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Devin Sticks Taylor.
Yeah. And so like.
He's nuts.
Yeah. Crazy good.
I think that's it. You just got to have Sticks, STIX, in your Instagram handle.
In some
and
way.
Then you're going to be
and that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's literally the final
changing
step.
mine
It
right
like
now.
sets the path before you at that point. And it's like all you got to do is walk.
Dance,
you know?
Sticks, Ainspan,
Yeah. But so like that is like, I do love pop music because it's simple. And a lot of times you're just playing like a backbeat, but there's so much room to get a little crazy with it because it is like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's fun, vibey music. So it is going to benefit from going absolutely
it calls
crazy.
for that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas a country train beat calls for just the train beat. And nothing else.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like I would love, I for sure would have fun playing country music. I know that for a fact. But I've always just felt like the type of things that I would be doing would be like fun, catchy songs, and then just like every now and then getting to go crazy a little bit, and like having fun with the arrangements and like just having fun playing the show, really, I guess is what it comes down to. But yeah, so I just got lucky that started in pop music here, and then there's a lot bigger pop scene than I anticipated.
There is, but it's still, from your perspective, like, how has the Nashville pop scene evolved, or where does it need to go? At least for me, it's still not like, I'm not seeing these breakout artists. No, really.
And it's interesting too, like how, obviously not that Knox doesn't get any love, because he gets love, like,
no, for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely not on the same level as like a country artist on the same level as him, because it is country industry
right,
here.
That's a good point. Yeah,
and so for sure it's like absolutely like New York and LA are still going to be the pop. Probably LA is going to be just the pop capital. Like that is just kind of how it's going to be for a little while. I mean, who knows if it'll be that way forever, but for right now, for sure. But a lot of people who are involved in that are moving here, and there's a lot more people that have experience in that world and that do like write in that world or perform in that world. So yeah, I guess like overall, I would say for sure, like, it's still like a little bubble, but it's expanding for sure. And it's kind of I think it's at an exciting point.
Yeah, it's only improving.
Yeah,
it seems.
for sure.
And it's cool because, like you said, there's producers that will literally travel back and forth to work,
Absolutely.
and you're getting that influence. It's becoming more affordable for artists to live here and still work in LA and vice
Absolutely.
versa. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So yeah, for sure, country is definitely. I mean, that's absolutely anywhere you go, everything is you're seeing country billboards, country everything.
Yeah.
I guess I always see all these cool country showcases and concerts and events. I just don't see that as much in the pop world here, or it's a much smaller bubble.
For sure.
It's much lower budget stuff happening.
Yeah,
But
for
it is
sure.
happening. So it's like you said, I think it is an exciting time.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it'll continue to grow. You're especially as people move here. Obviously, it's not that people moving here is good and bad. Obviously, I feel like I was a part of it, obviously, but I feel like a lot of times you lose a lot of the heart of a city when a bunch of people from outside move in.
Yeah.
That's what I did. So it's
Sorry, me too.
yeah. So it's
What we all did.
not even I don't even know how to talk about it because it's yeah, I'm talking about myself. I
We
moved
moved
here.
here and started a Nashville podcast. That seems not right.
Yeah, but I mean, there's obviously a certain point where you become a part of the industry and you become a part of the local scene, and you guys have obviously earned it. It's an honest for sure, but it's people will continue to move here for sure, and the whole landscape is going to change. And even since I moved here, it's not even the same city as when I moved here 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And people will message me.
I've been here 8, and it's very different.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even, the first time I was here was 2017, and I was visiting because I was on tour with that first band that I was playing with, and they were living right off, right down the road, kind of near the Burger King on Gallatin, kind of in that area. And even everything in that area is completely different from, 7 years ago when I was first here. It's not even the same, thing. Bless you.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's got to feel good.
That felt
That's
amazing.
got to feel
That
good.
was a good wind up.
Yeah, that was
We
serious.
all knew something was about to
that was
happen.
serious.
When I sneeze, I
That was beautiful.
go all in.
That was beautiful. A plus.
Thank
A
you.
plus on that sneeze.
Thank you.
But yeah, so it's it's gonna keep happening, and there's gonna be more people in that world here. It is a much more friendly city to pop than it probably seems.
Yeah, or
'Cause
then it projects.
Yeah. Because I know even the people that have messaged me about potentially moving here, they're I have several friends in LA who have nothing to do with country music who've been I think I might move there. I think I might, make the trip out there at least and see what's going on. I'm do it. Because there's a lot of cool stuff here, for sure. Even country music is obviously the backbone of everything. But I am not in that world, and I still am not. I moved down here and I still am not necessarily. But obviously, that being said, I would love to be if I got asked to do it.
Yeah.
Of course I would. Those shows
We'll
would
get
be
you down
crazy.
on Broadway.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it. Come on, that sounds like a good time. I'm all about it. I mean, I definitely am. But
That reminds me of the the Drumeo videos where they have Luke Combs drummer play a song he's never heard before. Those videos have gone viral.
Yeah.
Really, really good content. But that'd be fun to do.
we could do that for Broadway.
Yeah.
where it's dude that doesn't know a thing about country music.
Well,
sits
I'm
in
not
for a
saying you
gig.
don't, but someone that is just on a pop gig, and like you said, you don't do country gigs. It'd be fun to literally put you in that situation.
Yeah, I would
and then
love
vice versa.
I would love
have a country drummer on a pop gig.
I would love it. Yeah,
Let's do it.
I mean, yeah, that would be super fun. That would be super fun. Because the thing about country drumming too is it's
And then both drummers get fired, and then we're
I know.
and then
bill,
there's
so-
2 more gigs available for somebody. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I know what gig you can sit in on. You can sit in on mine.
Let's go.
there you go.
So there we go.
Let's go.
It's making it happen.
Let's do it. I'll sign the contract right now.
yeah. And
go.
you would throw down with Knox, I'm sure.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Oh yeah, that's
you kind of look like you could be Knox's older brother a little bit.
Yo, yeah, the ginger.
I could see that.
yeah.
I could see that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That'd be a powerful stage.
Hey, drummers, are you worried about losing your hearing? Did you know noise exposure can cause permanent hearing loss?
Dr. Jason Baker with Music City Audiology provides mobile concierge services to musicians in Nashville and surrounding areas. That's right, he is 100% mobile and will come to you. If you need ear impressions, custom in-ear products, ear cleaning, hearing tests, or information about protecting your ears, he's your guy. Music City Audiology cares about drummers and wants to help you maintain your most valuable tools, your ears. Visit MusicCityAudiology.com to book your consult today. That's MusicCityAudiology.com.
Give us like a Knox tour experience or a Knox show for people that haven't seen him play.
It's like the shows are so fun because Knox is so wholly himself. Like,
and what's the band makeup?
So it's just right now it's me on drums, a guy named John Townsend who's awesome on guitar, and then Knox plays guitar and sings.
And then just tracks.
Yeah. Then a bunch of tracks.
Yeah.
And for sure, like our production manager makes sure that the tracks blend so well with the live sound. So it's definitely a very like live feeling show. And we try to bring as much energy as we possibly can. But Knox is just so like himself at all times, and it just comes through like perfectly when he's playing.
I was just watching the treadmill video.
Dude.
Like, that company sent him a treadmill.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. So funny enough, that the treadmill is at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, and he was there today doing the live stream on that,
yeah,
which is so great. But yeah, I'm holding on to him for a second because there was nowhere to put it in his apartment. But yeah,
so that's the latest single, right? Treadmill.
Yeah. And then he's got some things in the works for sure. I don't know if I'm not even sure. I'm not even going to speculate because I don't remember exactly what he said. But there's definitely some more things coming up. But yeah, he's just like a good guy. And it comes through in everything he does, in like every interaction that he has. And he's convincing because he's convinced in himself, you know? So it's like,
to bring it back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when he also works so hard, and like when I started playing with him, I was just like, this dude works as hard on himself and his craft as I want to make sure that I'm working on myself. So I was like, yeah, I mean,
that's someone you want to play for.
Yeah.
That's a boss you want to have because that's going to elevate everyone around them, right?
Big time. And he's just so chill. Like everything is fine always. You know, everything's just like all good. We're at the end of the day, we're just like hanging out with our best friends. Like
That's the best, dude. That's just the fucking best. You can't. It is so refreshing to be playing music with people that you're like, I just love being around you, dude. That is the best feeling in the world. You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I for sure lucked out with the bands I played with, like Moody Judy. I love them. It was always great playing with them. Fangs is one of my best friends still to this day. Like Double Camp, great guys, incredible hangs. But like the Knox camp is just like top to bottom. Like it's a bigger touring crew than I've ever been with. Yeah. Because we, you know, and everybody is just like solid people. Like I have more fun hanging out with them in the van than I probably ever have anywhere else. Like it's just they're just a great group of people. And it all starts with Knox. Like Knox is a good dude, and he like wants our success as much as he wants his success. And he's just like that guy, you know, like he's a dog, dude. He's great.
Dude, like I need to come see you guys play. Are you playing in Nashville anytime soon? Or?
We're playing with Quinn 92 at the Ryman on October sometime in October.
Sweet. I'll look it up.
Yeah, we're on like I think we're on like 12 of the shows of his Quinn 92's upcoming tour, which we're super stoked about.
Will that be a bucket list venue for you here?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Big time.
First time.
Yeah. Most of my like musician friends have played it, and I've been like itching for it for sure, you know. And I'm stoked. I'm incredibly excited about that. Yeah, that's a big deal for sure for me.
I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel that. I had two of my good musician friends recently played the Ryman about a week apart, well, almost exactly a week apart from each other. I was just like, damn, I got to play the Ryman now.
Dude, yeah, I know.
It's a freaking cool.
Well, I know, dude.
Fly Information would fit there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He's in a prog band. They just played their first show ever in Nashville.
That's true, we did. Yeah.
Wow. Second show at the Ryman then.
Dude, show
Let's
number two, Ryman.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Show number one, the end. Well, we did a secret show at Betty's under a pseudonym.
Nice. Yeah, I caught wind of that.
And then because you know you want to make sure it's just going to make sure that everything's going to come out right.
I get it.
And then that was cool, and that was actually we got a bunch of really great content from that show.
Let's go, I love it.
And then and then the end, and now next the Ryman. That's going to be it. That's our trajectory.
That's the natural.
And then nothing lesser than the Ryman ever again.
Yeah.
After the end,
I have faith in you. I have a lot of faith in you.
Yeah.
The End is a special place.
It is.
It
It's
is
a
special
Nashville
place.
institution.
I hope I never play there again, but I do love it. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I will. I mean, I'm sure I
Yeah.
will. But there's something special about that place.
I know. I love
Bruce.
I love something about it. I'm like,
Seriously.
He's just like,
he's this
he
guy.
does not care about anything.
Oh, no.
He's just chilling.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this. He also just can't hear shit. He's
that
deaf.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
My friend was like, "Do you have vodka? White Claw?
yeah.
Yeah.
Vodka with a V. He goes,
Yeah.
2 White Claws.
Yeah. Dude,
You know what? That's fine.
it's an experience, yeah, for sure. Talking to him.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, I left my symbols. My wife gets in my email and sends him an email. Hey, from my email. Hey, did I leave a symbol bag at the venue last night? Yes. Okay, can I come by before 1:30 and pick it up? Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Bruce.
That's communication at its finest.
Dude, at its finest.
There's
man.
no extra information. There's nothing you needed to know that wasn't told. Like that's yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
There we go.
There is a symbol bag.
Yeah.
You did leave it.
Yeah, and you can come get it.
And yes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. No information. Like anything
Yeah.
would have been like, oh yeah, hey, I'll be here today if you want to come by. Like,
Yeah, that's
no.
beautiful.
Zero.
Sums up
Southern
Bruce.
hospitality,
Yeah.
be damned. That ain't happening at all with Bruce. He just gonna give you the bare minimum information.
I respect
Because he's
it.
seen some shit.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I can't even
sure.
imagine. Yeah, I cannot even imagine. So he's good for that. Yes. Yeah, he earned
that's
that.
true. That's
yeah.
true. But
Big
yeah.
time.
Dude,
Big time.
we need to let him run the Ryman.
Seriously. Oh, honestly, that's a good idea.
Can you imagine?
We gotta make some emails. I got some. We're gonna get things switched up around here for sure.
I like it.
Have your people talk to my people.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can put
We're
together.
gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen. And then your band
TV show.
gets booked immediately.
And the
Yeah,
band.
man.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's Let's go.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
You must call it a breakthrough.
This episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast was recorded at Garden Groove Studios.
Tucked away in a private and soundproof studio in East Nashville, Garden Groove was born out of a desire to create a space where musicians, entertainers, teachers, and learners could come together. Garden Groove offers a quiet and relaxed environment for creativity to thrive and grow.
Their mission is seated to fostering creativity and collaboration among musicians of all levels. In addition to a state-of-the-art recording space, they also offer a range of events and workshops to inspire and connect the community.
Recording, mixing, and mastering services start at just $45 an hour, and professional audio engineering services available for an additional $25 an hour. And exclusive discounts for newsletter subscribers, 25% off your first session when you subscribe.
Visit garden-groove.com to learn more and book a session. That's garden-groove.com.
Well, should we transition to some of our, we'd like to do some closing questions.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
I'll go first here. Well, you mentioned a few times your practice routines.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk us through what that looks like currently for you.
Pretty much, I'm still basically doing pretty much just like the same things I've been doing for, like 5 years. I love the rudimental ritual. I pretty much do like the first 6 pages of that like every day. It's
Which book?
It's
Alan Dawson.
It's Alan Dawson, and I literally just have like on my computer, I have like it's a PDF.
Yeah.
But I'll do like the first 6 pages of that every single day. And then I pretty much just like,
Do you do that against an ostinato?
oh yeah, yep.
Yeah,
that-
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. And I wasn't doing that until like 5 years ago when one of the persons I was getting lessons from was like, yeah, it says here actually that you're supposed to be doing this. And I was like, oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets into the triplet paradiddles. That's awesome to play with. It took me like a couple months to really get that down. But I pretty much do that every day. And then just like, I almost always do a doubles on the hi-hat and snare. And then I'll just like move it around the kit. So I'll just do like displaced doubles. Like the right,
Cool.
left, right,
Yeah.
left, right, whatever. I just move that around the kit. And then I just do random rudiments like around the kit. Just like, at a whim, basically, just like whatever I'm feeling, just kind of go.
Is that also pre-show? Like, do you have a pad with you?
So I don't really have like a pre-show routine or warm up or like, I don't really do anything, honestly.
Just hang out. Man.
Yeah.
get in
I'm
the
just
zone.
like kind of vibing, and I'll drink a Diet Coke or two to get, a little lubricated for the set.
Yeah.
And then, but I always think to myself, I'm like, I should do warm-ups. And I just haven't yet. So eventually I will be doing warm-ups.
Okay, we'll check
for
back
sure.
in with you
Yeah.
in a few months.
Yeah.
see where
And
you're
I will
at.
probably have done a warm-up or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. I just have never done warm-ups. And every drummer I ever listened to is like, here's what I do right before a show. I'm like, damn, dude, I ate like a handful of peanut butter pretzels before a show.
Right.
And I just start thinking about life. Like,
Yeah. I mean, to each their own.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And, but I do try to do it every day. If I can, at least like the rudimental ritual. And then it's like, I don't even know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I think at this point, the paper that I have of it doesn't have the title anymore because I've had it for 20 years.
Yeah.
But I'll always do something to make sure that my feet are still operating at a functional capacity.
Yeah.
And then most of what I do is just playing to songs. I feel like I always get, like if I'm playing like James Brown, like that's when I feel like I'm really making strides in my playing, is because all those, I mean, like anything that was like either Elvin or Clyde or whoever would have been on whatever song, it's so good and it's so tasteful, and you have to think about how you're playing. And that's usually the aspect of my practice that I really feel makes the biggest difference, is just like playing old funk tunes.
Yeah.
Dude, I could not agree more.
Yeah.
All of the wood shedding that I did to just like a metronome, like I appreciate that time, but I've gotten so much more growth out of just playing to songs and trying my ideas to song, like trying to play it and make it sound exactly like the song. And then I'm like, cool, now that I've got that, now what do I want to do with this? I will die on the hill that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
you should be
I mean,
practicing.
seriously, because at the end of the day, too, I feel like personally, like we're playing music, like that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's gotta feel good. Right.
Yeah. So as long as what you're doing is like you're deepening your relationship with the music, that's what it's all about. Yeah, and to me, it's like James Brown. Like I have like a 200 song playlist of things that I play to, and it's mostly like hip hop and then old funk songs.
Cool.
But so that's what most of my practice honestly is, where it's just like I'll just sit down and just play the songs, whatever. And then if there's something, a lot of times like I'll hear a fill or something, I'll be like, that is crazy, and then I'll just work on that for a couple of days.
Yep.
And then it just becomes a part of my vocabulary, and then I just keep moving along. I've never had not that I never had. For the past few years, I haven't had like a very structured routine outside of rudimental ritual.
Yep.
Just to make sure that, the stick controls doing stick control.
Yeah.
That's another one I do pretty regularly. I don't know. Of course I do stick control.
It just came out.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, for the most part, just playing.
Yeah.
Just playing the songs.
Okay. I'm gonna look that book up. I haven't heard of it. Rudimental Ritual.
It's
You
great.
said Alan Dawson?
Yeah, Alan Dawson, Rudimental Ritual, and somewhere there's like a PDF download of it.
Yeah.
And I mean I've used it daily for like 10 years at this point, so
Sweet.
it's great.
All right. So if you were in a life or death situation where there was somebody coming after you and you had the choice of either using a potato or a straw to defend yourself, which would you choose?
What kind of straw? Paper?
Plastic.
Plastic?
Yeah.
What kind of potato? Regular spud, Idaho?
Yeah, or sweet.
Oh, sweet potato.
Yeah. You could use a sweet potato to defend yourself. Which one? What do you choose?
Potato.
Yeah.
I'm going potato.
Yeah, I know. Like, I saw a guy give a demonstration about it. He said, well, see, I can puncture the potato with the straw. I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
can you?
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Are
yeah.
you going to puncture me with the straw? It's going to be kind of hard.
If you're getting attacked by a potato, that's a great thing to
Oh,
have.
for sure. I'm way more terrified of the guy coming after me with the potato.
Yes. But so like the straw,
He can throw it at me.
Yeah.
Can't throw the straw at me.
who cares if the straw can puncture a potato?
Yeah.
I don't have both. I'm not puncturing a potato with a straw.
Yeah.
I'm defending my life.
That's exactly right.
And in which case, the weight of a potato, I could probably find a way to do more damage with that
I
than a
agree.
straw.
I agree wholeheartedly. Good man.
Well, as they say, kill him with sweetness, sweet potatoes.
There we go.
That's the saying.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Potato pie.
That's what it's all about.
Great
I'm
question,
going
yeah.
potato for sure.
I feel like if you just threw it just right, especially a sweet potato, that could just go right in the eye.
I mean, that could be serious.
Like that, it'd be like that scene in Nacho Libre. You know what I'm talking about?
I absolutely know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's an excellent movie, Chancho. Why are you leaving us, Chancho? I don't
Did
even
you
know what he
tell
says.
him they were the Lord's cheaps?
So good.
That's one of the best movies ever made.
He's like, why are you wearing something about sweat? What was the
Stretchy
sweatpants
pants.
situation?
Yeah.
He's like, I like to just put on my stretchy pants. I don't even remember.
It's for fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Dude,
what a movie.
How terrible his accent is makes it so much better.
It's perfect.
Like you are not. There's no way anyone's mistaking you for an actual Mexican. That's just not happening.
No shot. That is an excellent movie.
It's so good. It's
And the
highly
song is
underrated.
like, I am singing at the party.
Oh, dude.
So good. Oh my.
Have you seen that
oh
movie,
my
Dan?
God.
Of course not.
Dan has seen frightfully few movies. That is. I'm going to put that on a highest recommendation.
Where's this list that you keep speaking
Well,
of?
you got a phone right there with notes in front of you.
Yeah.
Here's your note for this episode.
Nacho
Watch
Libre.
Nacho Libre.
Nacho
It's
Libre.
so
Get
good.
that corn out of my face.
Get the corn out of my face. I mean, it's a special movie.
I haven't seen it. You guys, I feel like, are doing a great impersonation.
dude.
And I haven't seen it in probably 10 years, and it's all coming flooded back to me.
Nacho Libre. I'm gonna
Do
write
yourself
that
a
down.
favor and watch it again.
I'm gonna
and
watch
just
it.
Love.
After this football game ends tonight, I might throw it on.
Oh yeah, I gotta get watched.
Yeah,
that
no.
game just started. Probably.
Dude, I need Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. I always get Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, and they always go crazy.
Yeah, right.
Like, Lamar Jackson gets so many points every single week. I don't know why he's not the top pick every year. Like, and he's
Yeah.
never projected.
He's a good
He's
fantasy
always
player.
projected like top 3 quarterbacks. But I'm like, I have won 2 seasons in a row because of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
The dude is crazy.
Yeah.
The dude is crazy.
God bless Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson.
seriously. I mean, he's doing a lot of good for me personally. I'm a Browns fan, so he's doing a lot of bad for my
Sorry.
actual football like
Are you like a
fandom.
loyal paper brown bag Browns fan?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to an extent for
That's
sure.
me for the Giants. But I mean, I got 2 rings
You want to know?
versus Brady. So
You want to know
I can't complain.
how big of a Browns fan I am? And I'm saying this because I can't show it to you because I'm wearing jeans.
Oh boy,
I have a tattoo.
do you really?
I do. It's a tattoo that is more funny than it is anything else, because in 2021, when the Browns were on a pretty good run, I think it was 4 touchdowns they scored in the first quarter against the Steelers in the AFC wildcard game. If anybody remembers that, it
so.
did happen.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends, who is a tattooer, messaged me. I was inebriated, of course, because it was still 2021. I was still doing that.
Sure.
And he was like, Browns tattoo tomorrow if they win? I'm like, Browns Super Bowl
1,000%.
tomorrow if they win.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's like, it says Browns Super Bowl champs 55.
Incredible.
And I was like, I get 3 years for them to win because I can just add the marks if I have to.
True.
And then I was like, so it's LV. And I'm like, I can get up to 58, no problem. And then, they didn't even come close. even
You've
once,
got a
so.
lot riding on this franchise.
no,
Yeah, I know, seriously.
You should get
my God.
and you should just add an exorbitant amount of eyes.
Yeah.
That, like
Yeah.
that ain't how Roman numerals work at all.
I
Let's
thought-
just do it.
I thought it'd be funny to update it every year and then scratch it out. But I think it's almost funnier that they didn't win a Super Bowl. And because
It is, you're right.
Because it's like if they had won a Super Bowl, I would be kind of a loser. If I'm like, yeah, my NFL team won a Super Bowl, I'm getting a tattoo about
Yeah,
it.
you're
Like,
right, yeah.
But they didn't.
It's more of a story.
Yeah,
It's
so
hilarious.
now it's like kind of funny.
You're a true fan. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's with Fangs. We did like the Bussin' with the Boys, like whatever the music thing that they do, like the concert series thing.
Yep.
And so there's like real sports people in that room.
Yeah.
And Jake goes, this dude has a Browns tattoo. And I was like, yep, I do. I have a Browns tattoo. And Titans are obviously in the AFC as well. So
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I got a Browns tattoo for sure. We don't have to talk about it too much, but it's funny because
hilarious,
it's like right above my knee. So like if I'm wearing shorts, people can see it.
Yeah.
And people will confront me about the tattoo for sure.
Is it like the logo? Or the,
It's just a helmet, and then
Okay.
it just says Cleveland Browns above it, Super Bowl champs, 55.
dude, that's incredible.
Yeah. It's not colored though. I would never get like orange, the orange helmet.
Of course.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's just black and white.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's like,
Of course.
looks okay.
Gotta stay classy.
Kind of. Yeah,
for
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely.
It's so funny.
So that's how big of a Browns fan I am.
All
Yeah,
right.
And ask me any stat about anything, I probably know it for the Browns or the Cavs,
Damn.
and really any Cleveland sports. I've been tuned in since 2003 when LeBron
Wow.
got drafted and went to the Cavs.
When he took his talents
So-
to Cleveland.
He did. He took him to Cleveland. He took him all over the place, man.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah. But I mean, he came back, and that 2016 championship was one of the biggest days of my
Were you
life.
partying in the streets?
I had a broken leg, but yes.
I was gonna say, so yes,
I was like
carefully.
crutching my way around, and
Oh my God.
I hadn't put pressure on that foot in like 2 months. And when it was all over, and like Kevin Love hugs LeBron, I stood up. I started jumping. I was like, this is the most important moment of my life. And it kind of was. Like, it kind of was.
Incredible.
Like,
Yeah.
especially, it was on Father's Day. My dad's from Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we were all
That's-
watching it
that's
together.
special, yeah.
It was like, he had never seen Cleveland do anything. Like,
Yeah.
like even the Cleveland baseball team, as I call them,
You're right.
even those guys,
The Guardians.
95, 96, 97, even like 2007 when Grady Sizemore, I'm telling you, I could go on for
Yeah.
hours and hours about this. But all that to say, yeah. Cleveland had a tough go at it. I think it was against Miami in 95 or 97 when they thought they were going to win, and then they just got cleared on the last play, and then it's like, oh wow, it didn't win the World Series. All of those things were felt in that moment when Cleveland won. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it,
Well,
Cleveland.
I feel like I remember seeing on your Instagram, like because you guys were in Cleveland and you guys had like
Yeah.
the picture of the jerseys. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That must have been pretty cool, right?
And so we're all from Ohio. Like Knox is
Yeah.
from Dayton, Johnny's from Salina, which is like 45 minutes to an hour outside of Fort Wayne. It's like right on the border of Indiana and Ohio. And then my family's from Cleveland, so we're all Ohio boys,
Yeah.
and I love playing in Ohio. I love Ohio. I'm an Ohio defender for sure. But yeah, that Cleveland show was super cool. That was crazy too because my whole family was there. My grandma rented a bus,
Let's go,
and
Grandma.
they pulled up in the party bus. Like my dad texted me, he's like, "Do you see what I'm seeing?" And I'm like, "You're pulling up better than we are right now, dude."
That's amazing.
I was like, "Dad, we pulled up in a 12-passenger van, dude, and you got the bus, man." I'm like, "You want to switch? Can we swap out real quick?"
Yeah.
But yeah, they pulled up ready to party, and we were definitely super stoked about that.
Yeah, that's cool. I have a
Yeah.
family there.
Yeah, big
in
time.
the city. Yeah.
Big time, yeah. And we had to wear the LeBron jerseys. LeBron was like the first athlete that I was like, I love this guy. You know, like he's like the most important man in my life outside of my father, probably, to be honest with you. It's like, yeah, it's like that, to be real. But
no LeBron tattoo though.
no, not yet.
Not yet.
Eventually, it's
Yeah,
gonna
when he
happen.
retires,
It's
yeah.
gonna happen. I mean, yeah, my girlfriend probably knows as much about LeBron as I do at this point because anytime I start going, she's just like, I know LeBron, yeah. But I'm like, but you weren't there. You don't even
I don't
understand.
understand. Yeah.
You don't get it. And he's still doing it. He's 40
insane.
years old, dude. Oh, come on. I could go on forever. Yeah, I just uncorked something in me.
All right, man. Well, I have one final question to bring
Yes.
it back to Nashville
Yes.
and fine dining. Just give us like one or two of your fine dining spots in town.
Yeah. So what would I say? Let me think about this for a moment.
Yeah.
I never got to go to Audrey yet. I really want to go to Audrey.
I have been there. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I really would like to. Locust is incredible. Some of the best seafood probably ever had. What else would I say? I mean, so it's funny enough, since I moved here, I've been on like trying to be on such a budget that I haven't even really been able to truly enjoy like the food scene here like I want to.
Yep.
And like in the next couple of years, as I get a little more financial freedom, I'm definitely going to dive in a little bit more. But so I don't have as much. What's the one at Margot in 5 Points?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That place is great too.
Yeah.
They do like a different menu every day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But there's a lot of really good food here too. Like Pelican and Pig is great.
I love Butcher and Bee.
Butcher and Bee. Okay, yeah, Butcher and Bee is one of my favorite restaurants
I
here.
know that's not really fine dining, right? I mean,
it's
more
elevated.
upscale.
It's elevated family dining.
Yeah.
Like it is
I love
like
that place.
it does the exact same thing that fine dining does. Like it has there's great drinks, great food.
Great service.
Yeah, the service is incredible. That's
High
really
price.
yeah.
I like places that have "and" in the name. Cork and Cow.
Yes. Oh come on. Yeah. Absolutely.
Daddies
Absolutely.
and dogs. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's big time. I mean, come on. Yeah, so you're spitting facts over here. Yeah, if they got one thing and another thing too,
Yeah.
they're probably a pretty good place. Yeah, it's probably a pretty good place.
Hatties and bees.
Yeah. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. But yeah, and then the Fox. The Fox is incredible. The Fox is one of my favorite places in the world, much less Nashville. Like, the cocktails are incredible. All the people that work there know so much about the food and drinks and spirits. The spirit knowledge is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's me personally, that's like probably my favorite place is the Fox.
Yeah.
Because the food's great too. I mean, they have.
I've only had cocktails there. I'll have to try the food.
They have a pretty limited, food menu for sure, but it's everything that they have is fantastic.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's like 4 or 5 different little bar things, but it's awesome.
And finally, last question. Where do you want people to find you?
Instagram is definitely the easiest place. My Instagram handle is. It's always so funny spelling my name because it's all the letters sound the same, but it's CEDELZOPPO. That's my Instagram handle. It's just CE Delzoppo, which is my first 2 initials and then just my last name. But yeah, Instagram is where I, try to keep up with things the most, and that's where I post about like what I'm doing and everything. And anybody can reach out to me at any time. And if they want to get coffee, if they want to meet up, they want to hang, they want to learn about drums, they want to talk about drums, they want to do anything, I don't care. Like, hit me up. I'm around. I'm definitely down to meet new people, make new friends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
just like we did tonight. Well,
yeah,
thanks for coming
exactly.
on.
Yeah,
Man.
for sure. Yeah,
it's been
guys,
awesome.
I'm super stoked. It was great to meet you guys and then talk and hang for sure. Like that was a great conversation that we had. So
thank you. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. Yeah, thanks for having me out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast. If you liked it, please consider leaving us a review on the Apple Podcast app. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can help support this dream and keep the ball rolling for us. Believe it or not, it's not free or even necessarily cheap for us to make this thing go. To sign up, go to patreon.com/Nashville Drummers Podcast or click the link in our Instagram bio. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
Visit our website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com, where you can listen to all past episodes, learn more about myself and Nate, and buy all your favorite Nashville Drummers Podcast merch, including t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hats, and drum heads. Connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Nashville Drummers Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Friendship.